The atmosphere is tainted with stale cigarettes, marijuana, and body odor as you traverse your way through the sea of wooks in a K-hole to see your favorite artist just for a 30-minute set. This is the festival experience. Hello and welcome to my channel, and today I want to share with you why I don't like festivals. Kinda. I want to get something straight before I go in on this, is that I'm not anti-festival by any means. I'm actually going to one next month. I just think there are certain benefits in seeing your favorite artists on tour versus at a festival. Let's start with the obvious pro, which is the value.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Let's take next month's Louder Than Life for example. For me, these are the artists I'm excited to see, and for $400, that's a pretty damn good deal. However, of those artists, there are some, like Weezer, who I'm only seeing because I paid for the general admission ticket. Basically, what I'm saying is I would never be caught dead at a Weezer show outside of a festival. As you see, Friday is stacked with people I like, while Saturday only has 2 people I remotely care about. So maybe I should just go 2 days then, right? Well, 2 single-day passes totals to roughly $340, while a weekend pass is $380. So you're better off buying the whole entire weekend. That's where they get you. Now again, the amount of people you get to see for this price is unbeatable, and you'll never find any value like this anywhere else. Might I add, a few years ago, Korn was at a festival that I was going to, and honestly, I was not a big Korn fan. I just knew like 1 or 2 songs by them, but I figured I paid for it, so I enjoyed their concert. Ended up being an amazing concert, probably one of, if not my favorite show of that weekend, and now I'm a big time Korn fan since then. Make fun of me all you want. That being said, it's another great way to experience new music, which is always a treat. However, on the contrary, that same year Korn was there, Metallica was there for 2 separate nights. And we already established if you want to go 2 nights, you're better off just buying the whole weekend. So assuming you're a really big Metallica fan and you want to go to 2 nights, you have a general admission pass, which totals to around $400. Right now, they're on a stadium tour, and each stadium they're playing 2 separate nights. Bundles for both nights go around for $200 in some cases. After recording this, I even found some as low as $80. Granted, these aren't the best seats, and at a festival you can essentially have the best seat in the house if you really want to, but is that really worth paying double the price? Then there's also the situations where you're really at the festival just to see one artist, so you do buy that 1-day pass. I had a similar situation with Pearl Jam. I'm a big Pearl Jam fan, and I got to see them, and I also got to see Greta Van Fleet, which I guess was cool. And their show was great, but I know that spending that $170 on that single-day pass would have got me a pretty nice seat at one of their own concerts. So this is where it comes down to preference, which is going to be a lot of the things that I'm talking about in this video. Which brings me to my next point. The crowd. Of all the attributes a festival has to offer, this is by far my least favorite. And depending on what kind of festival you're going to, this can vary big time. I've been to most festivals you can imagine, except for EDM, which I know is a big one, more on that later. But if I'm being honest, not exactly thrilled with my interactions with other people at these festivals. This mainly goes for rock and metal shows, but there seems to be an endless gauntlet of crowd surfers. And it's people like me's responsibility to just make sure these people don't get hurt, which is really annoying because it's not something I wanted to do. Most of the crowd surfers are too big to be doing it, and they do it anyways. I mean, there's people bigger than me, and I definitely would not in a million years think to be crowd surfing. It's one thing if there's some petite 100-pound girl who's having her good time and just wants to do it every 30 minutes. There's someone. But when you have some grizzly 200-pound Discord mod going every 2 minutes, that's where it becomes a problem. Not to mention the wardrobe malfunctions that ensue range from nip slips to a full-blown beef curtain flash, and just nobody wants to see that. And to make things worse, there's always going to be that pervert who sees this as an opportunity to cop a feel, which is totally disgusting. Despite crowd surfing being completely abysmal at rock and metal festivals, I will say they do one thing right, and that's going to be mosh pitting. I'll give them a pat on the back for this. I think mosh pits are a fun and great way to really immerse yourself in the music when done correctly. Although extremely brutal sometimes, the rock crowd has this kind of we're all in this together vibe, which I really respect. If someone falls down, they're going to respect them and help them out, unlike some people we know. Also, you're never forced to participate. You pretty much always have an opportunity to leave the mosh pit if it's too intense for you, or you just don't have to get involved in the first place. Compare that to my experience at a Playboy Cardi set where the Adderall abusing 15-year-olds just want an excuse to hurt someone and wreak absolute havoc. As stated before, the price is unbeatable, so that kind of draws in a lot of people who really aren't there for certain artists. Maybe they're there just to kill time before the show that they actually care about is ready. I was at a Tenacious D set, and this girl didn't even realize that Tenacious D was Jack Black until the 3rd song. Just kind of something funny I'd point out. Not necessarily anything wrong with that, but I guess we get a bunch of fake fans. But with it being affordable, more so brings in a younger crowd. I'm not talking 1920, I'm talking 15, 16 with no supervision. So with that comes a lot of like mischief and just something I don't really want to be around. Every year I go, I'm kind of like, damn, like I'm getting too old for this, and I just shouldn't feel that way. And there's really no way to fix this. I'm definitely not saying they should raise the prices to fix that. That's just stupid. I think the bang for your buck is amazing. I think this is just one of the sacrifices there is. As I said before, I've never actually been to an EDM festival, which I know is like a pretty big component, and kind of like, I think that's what most people think of when they think of festival. Definitely not against it. I've actually been to a couple EDM shows, but just not necessarily my thing that I'd go out of my way to do. But from what I hear and what I understand, it sounds like it's just like a bunch of dirty hippies who bring the whole pharmacy with them and abandon their brain for the weekend. Kind of like the same people who probably just like put their hair under like that mushroom like water fountain and like call it a shower. And if that's the worst thing you have to deal with, then honestly, not that bad at all. Maybe I'm just going to the wrong festivals. Now we're talking amenities. This aspect of festivals definitely has the most variation when it comes to which festival you're going to. I think water stations have just like become meta. Like I'm sure they're like required at this point. I mean, they do a pretty good job of making it very, very accessible. Obviously, vendors are going to be expensive wherever you go, but one thing I will say is having a reserved spot like at a stadium is super nice for this. I saw Tool in concert at a stadium when I went to go get more beer, and it was a very quick endeavor in and of itself. However, when I was walking back, my drunk ass tripped and fell and spilt both the beers I just bought. And you bet my dumbass turned right back around and bought 2 more and went right back to my seat. This whole debacle probably took like 10, maybe 15 minutes. Whereas if this were to happen at a festival, it'd be like a 30-minute ordeal, which is like, in some cases, an entire set's worth. You have to leave the crowd to get to the vendor line, which is probably eternal since there's more than just one show going on at a time, and then play hide and seek just to get back to your friends, which sometimes you might not even get back to them. That whole argument is definitely a reach on my end, but I do find it more of a gamble to leave your festival to get something versus a show. As far as restrooms go, I know people sometimes complain about this, but in my experience, I think it's gotten a lot better. I think there's a ton of restrooms available to everyone, and if you look hard enough, like, there's probably one that's not even being used. You can like pretty much skip the line entirely. And this is another, I guess, amenity or maybe like feature that varies from festival to festival, and that's re-entry. I think festivals with re-entry are awesome. I think everyone should do it. I don't really know why there are like so many that just have no re-entry. But being able to leave and like maybe you live close, like crash, or like your Airbnb is close, you just crash there for a little bit and then go back, because festivals are damn long. Whenever that's a feature, that is nice, but I feel like a lot of times it's not, so that kind of sucks. So now I thought we would compare the differences in the festival experience versus the concert experience. For starters, let's talk set times. For festivals, sometimes they're absolutely laughable. The longest show you'll see at a festival is like 1 hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours if you're really lucky, and that's only for a headliner. Whereas at an artist's concert, you're probably going to see them for like 3 hours, sometimes upwards of like 4, and you really get to dive into their catalog, which is always awesome if you're a really big fan. For example, last year I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers at a festival. They were supposed to play for like 1 hour and 55 minutes, maybe 2 hours, but they ended 35 minutes early. Apparently this was because of technical difficulties, which are pretty common at festivals. When there's so many bands playing and so many like audio and visual facets to keep up with, like the margin of error is just gonna go up. Then you'll have amazing artists who get the short end of the stick with a very short set list. Alice in Chains is one of, if not my favorite band of all time. When I saw them last year, they only had 1 hour, which was honestly laughable. I felt pretty cheated as a fan because there was like so many songs I still wanted to hear, and again, this is just like anecdotal at this point, because I know it's not even their fault. It's just kind of like how festivals work. If you're not a headliner, you get a shorter time. What I'm saying here is if you're a diehard fan of someone, you see them at a festival, you're probably going to enjoy yourself, but seeing them on tour will almost always be a better experience. Again, festivals have a lot of upsides, and I couldn't be more excited for Louder Than Life next month, but I definitely know it's not going to be kittens and rainbows the whole time. But that wraps up my rant. If you liked, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Please comment your thoughts. I mean, I would love to hear everyone disagree with me because I know a lot of people are going to. And thank you for watching.